Hey all, thank you for watching. Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be talking about the new QKZ HBB collaboration. This one is an interesting set. I'll tell you right off the bat, if you're just interested in how it sounds very good. I would definitely advise taking a strong look at this. It compares really favorably with the 7Hz Zero, but it's got some different strengths from the 7Hz Zero, so I recommend sticking around and we will go through the details of that. This is the outer packaging. It looks pretty cool the way that it is packaged. Now, maybe I'm just out of the loop, but I have not heard anybody specifically talk about QKZ. Sounds a lot like KZ. And I will show you something first here is that this is a really pretty case, but it really reminds you of some other stuff. If you see this cable, and you see this case here, it seems a lot like this guy. If you look at these cables, casing. So I guess the question is this just a KZ? Is this just another KZ option? I mean, you look at how similar they look here, and it's like, man, it kind of seems like these are just KZs, right? So that being the case, that doesn't mean they sound exactly like everything else. These are CRA pluses, which are the most recent KZs that I got. So I wanted to share those for comparison. But as far as I can tell, I mean, it sure looks like they either copied it really closely or that this is essentially just a KZ IEM. I mean, even down to the cables, they're basically the same thing here. So that doesn't mean it's not worthwhile, but it is just something worth noting. This is the box that it comes in. Obviously, I already unboxed it. It's kind of cool. So when you open it, basically the IEMs are in here. You open this, you take this out, and that's it. That's really all that there is to it. There are some tips that come with it. I did not find any of them worked well for me. I got weird sound with them. It was almost like a fuzzy, almost like when you have a bad cell phone call and there's no depth. It was almost like some kind of wispy, strange sound that I got with them. So I'll just say for these, the whole review is going to be with using SpinFits, which I think work excellent with them. As you can see here, I've got the SpinFit CP100 Plus on them. If you look closely at the IEM, it's really pretty. You know, you got this design here. The colors are good. I mean, the whole thing is definitely, I think, very nice. So just for what it's worth there, I think that you're going to enjoy the quality of it. It's just weird to me that it's it's a KZ IEM, I guess, and or a very close copy of it, and I did not see that mentioned, so just FYI. I don't know if anybody wants to do a deep dive on it, but as far as I can tell, that's what it is. So here's the IEM. I'm going to show you guys a few other things that I'm going to compare it to. We are going to be looking at the current love of the budget world, the 7Hz Zero, because these are kind of the king of the budget hell right now. I'll tell you how they compare. The quick answer is that they complement each other really well. There is a good reason why you may want to look at both of them. For previous collaborations, we'll look at the Mele's, which I believe are the first ones that he did, and I'll kind of compare them to the quality of these and how that sounds. And a more expensive, more recent set that he did, the Kai's here. So we'll be looking at these and kind of telling you how, oh, that's not the Kai's. Here are the Kai's. The Kai's are beautiful IEMs. They're really nice. They've got a nicer cable. It's really kind of like silky smooth and they look really pretty. These we're going to be comparing them to as well. The quick answer for these is that I think the new ones are actually tuned slightly better, but these have the ability to do more in some ways, and we'll go over that as well. So the first comparison that we'll make, we're going to look at the 7Hz Zero versus QKZ HBB. They were both tested using SpinFit CP100 Plus tips. And in terms of how these compare, I think they complement each other really well. If you've already bought these, there's a good reason why you may want to buy these. The KZs, they image and soundstage better. 7Hz Zeros probably are technically better. They separate soundstage and imaging better and probably give you a more accurate sound. But the HBBs, I feel like, give you a easier to listen to sound that is actually More to my taste, and if I had to listen to something all day, it would probably be these. What you do lose, though, is that imaging and soundstage. The HBBs basically just sound flat. They kind of sound, you got left, right, middle, and that's about it when you're listening to these. And they don't have a great sense of sound separation between the different instruments. What you get instead, though, is they give you excellent tonal properties. The bass is very deep, powerful, satisfying, but also punchy. Mids are clean and clear. Like he's been trying for a while since the Mele's, I think, to get the more laid back mids going, but also keep it crisp enough to give you a good amount of energy. And I feel like with these tips anyway, he finally got that right. Where you can hear mids and they're still clean and clear, but they're also laid back enough to where they're not fatiguing, which is something that I think most IEMs really struggle with. So bravo on that. I really think he did a great job in terms of the tuning on them. Cymbals, that kind of thing, sound spot on. They all, tonally, it's very, very well done, where you've got really satisfying bass, you've got excellent mids that are clean and clear, but are not fatiguing, and your hi-hats, cymbals, things like that sound accurate. So it's really well done. I'd say in terms of the tuning, it's excellent. The only improvement that I think that you'd want to make with these would be the soundstage and separation is almost non-existent. So you just get left, right, middle, and not a really clear separation in the instruments. I mean, all the instruments are accounted for and you can hear them. They all feel like they're kind of really close together. So tonally, these are great, but in terms of if that's really important to you, imaging, soundstage, that kind of thing, they're not going to have it, which also means they're not going to be great for gaming if that's what you're going for. So if sound separation, sound stage, instrument separation, depth of field, that kind of thing is really important, then I'd probably go with the zeros. But if you're just more, you want more laid back sound, like especially for rock and roll, hip hop, stuff like this, these work excellent. They work well for a lot of different genres, but they work especially well with more bass heavy genres. So for a trip down memory lane, these are the Mele's. As far as I know, these are the first ones that he came out with as a collaboration. They're gorgeous IEMs. They have the all metal construction. I really love this plate on here. Really looks nice. I bought a bunch of these for my family. I really like them. The cable, if you can look at that separately, it's a much higher quality cable and one that I really enjoy using. I wanted to talk about these because I feel like this is an evolution of what he's been working on since the Mele's. With the Mele's, they have a really nice bass response. They have a really laid back mids presentation, but it's almost lazy. It doesn't really have a lot of energy, and that's what I think he's improved with on these, is that the Mele's, they have a really laid back sound to the point of feeling like they don't have enough energy in the mids. They're just a little bit unenergetic. They do sound excellent with spring tips though. So I brought some spring tips, which are ones that I talk about a lot as well. And these are really good tips for if your sound is a little bit muddy or unenergetic. They add some volume in the upper mids and they kind of reduce the bass a little bit, which I think helps with the bass bleed over into the mids. Well, anyway, when I use these with the Mele's, they get better soundstage and imaging and still kind of give you a lot of the benefits of this new set. So I'd say if you've already got Mele's, you may want to just spend like $15 and buy some spring tips because I think you get a better IEM than what you get with the new HBBs. But if you don't own either of them, I'd probably just say get the new HBBs because they're pretty comparable. It's just if you need the imaging and soundstage, you start getting that with these as long as you're willing to put some spring tips on them. In terms of the HBBs, I tried all the stock tips and I only got to the spin fits because once I got to the spin fits, I literally listened to these for about 2 hours straight and didn't take them out and really just enjoyed everything I listened to them on. So I didn't find the need to go any further with them. So I didn't do any testing with the spring tips on them, but I will say if you got some spin fits, I think you'll really enjoy how these sound and you don't need to look any further than that. Okay, so now let's talk about the Kais, which are his most recent option. I believe he's been coming out with a lot lately, but I bought this as well. Now, I didn't give this a great review. It's got a gorgeous case, as you can see. The cable that comes with it is very silky and smooth and nice. I mean, it's a really nice IEM. I still think that these new ones are tuned better than these, though, because these are a little weird in that the upper mids get a little bit shouty for me. and the bass does not really resolve until you give it more power. So like if I use the Qdlix 5K on it, the bass kind of resolves and it sounds a lot better on it. So if you have one of these, it's a really good choice because it sounds very good. But if you just want to use it on a simple Apple dongle, I don't think that this sounds great. Now, for some songs, it'll sound okay. But for some songs that require punchy bass, it kind of comes across as hollow and like it doesn't quite have enough power to resolve everything. So if you're going to plug this into a nice source, this is an excellent option. Really good tonal qualities in terms of the bass. The mids start to resolve and stop being so sharp if you give it better source. But if you just want to plug this into everything, including your phone, I don't think that this is a great option. So that being said, what am I saying exactly? Especially if you have the 7Hz zeros, I think this is an excellent choice. This is a good counteraction for when you don't want to hear all the details and sound separation, all that stuff is quite as important, and you just want to be laid back, maybe listen to some bassier music and have something that is not fatiguing. I think this is an excellent option. For $20, it's pretty amazing in terms of the quality of the sound that you get for it. I would definitely strongly recommend it. I'll leave links to it in the description. If y'all have it, please let me know what you think. If you don't, feel free to leave any questions and we will talk about it together. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, comment, anything you can do to interact is hugely helpful to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.